Hi, Jamila. Thank you for joining us on Rise Birth Positive Stories. Go ahead.
Thank you, Yasmin, for having me.
Yeah. You have two births to go through, it sounds like. So whichever you would like to go through, we're happy to hear.
Well, it basically it starts with my eldest. My husband and I were working in Kazakhstan, and the maternity care there is absolutely amazing. By the way, there was the issue of a language barrier, but if you have a interpreter, it's fine. A little OCD because I had to basically give a pee sample every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Um,
All the way
but
through.
yeah, all the way through until I left when I was nearing my due date, and basically I was researching and watching so many YouTube videos on natural birth and home births, and it got to the point basically my husband was like, stop watching that because it's so graphic. But I'm
Oh,
like, no, I want to know. I want to see what's gonna happen. So I left, I think, when I was 6 months pregnant, and I visited Philippines, my home country, and then after that I went to South Africa. Now, the reason why I chose to give birth in South Africa was while I was doing my research, I saw that in Philippines, I don't know if it's still the same right now, but in Philippines, we didn't have many home births or birthing centers that was run by medically trained professionals. You get the random auntie in the village, which you don't want to do that,
okay.
basically. Yeah, who would do your home birth for you, but they're not really trained. So, and I saw in South Africa this beautiful little birthing center, which looked like a bed and breakfast, really. Um, yeah, it had every private room had a bathtub where if you wanted a water birth, you could, and even a little garden. So I thought to myself, okay, I won't be with my family, but this is what I really, really want to do. This is something I really wanted to do. So with a medical certificate, because I was already so far along, I flew to South Africa.
So you didn't
And
have anybody there. You just went there because you found this birth center and you. What?
yeah, my husband's from South Africa, so his family was there.
Okay. All
You
right.
know, I just realized now how much pressure I put them under because obviously my husband wasn't going to be with me while I waited for the baby to be born.
Okay.
He was back in Kazakhstan, and I proceeded to phone choose a midwife. My first choice was not going to be available. She said she might be, she might not be, and I found this lovely lady, and she says, when do you want to meet? And I was like, I didn't say I want to meet yet, but she was so assertive that it inspires confidence. So I met with her, and um, basically we had the usual consultations and some questionnaires. And one day I was sleeping over at my sister-in-law's house, and my water broke. So
Okay.
I phoned her. Yeah, and my water broke, and I was trying to be quiet on the phone, telling my midwife, I think my water broke. And when I got off the phone, my sister in law was sitting behind me. I didn't even know she was there because I didn't want to stress her out.
Yeah.
Like in the movies, they think they have to wheel you into the hospital or somewhere right
Yeah.
away. I didn't feel the urgency. So after she says, okay, just chill a bit, do you feel any tightness? I said, I think just Braxton Hicks. It wasn't painful, just a tightness, a general tightness. And about 4 hours later, she says, yeah, you can come through to the birthing center. So I did, and my sister-in-law, she bought me lots of snacks. You know, they filled up my little those tiny fridges, the bar fridges, they
Oh
filled it
yeah,
up
the
with
little
yogurt.
mini.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so much snacks. I was so happy.
You need
That
them.
was yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the great thing about a natural birthing. I mean, in my experience, is that they allow you whatever food. In the Philippines, like I said, I don't know if it's still like that now, but doctors and hospital staff would generally prefer you don't eat so much
Okay.
while waiting to give birth. I don't know why. That's such an archaic practice, but anyway. So I was there. They phoned my husband. He's in Kazakhstan. That's like the other side of the world. And he took the first flight out and he thought, I'm not going to make it for the birth. And so, but my labor was about 24 hours. My midwife specifically told me if it progressed, if it was longer than 24 hours, she will have to move me to a hospital.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, but on the 11th hour, my husband first had a stopover in Dubai, and then he thought, okay, the baby should be there by now, because I don't know how long it took. It was a 24-hour travel,
Okay.
and yeah, I mean, it's like he obviously couldn't get a flight at that second, so it was like another 4 hours. Then he got the flight, then he stopped over Dubai, and then there was a 2-3 hour layover, and there was still no baby. So he thought, okay, while I'm in the skies, she would have had a baby,
Okay.
and I didn't. The little bugger was waiting for his dad. He was waiting for his dad, and uh so my the moment he pulled in at the birthing center, one of the nurses came out and said, are you Derek? And he said, yes. And she said, put your cigarette out and come with me. And he made it just in time. Well, then she said push, and I did, and it was 3 pushes. He was a tiny baby. He was 2.68
Okay.
kilograms, which was a good starter baby, to be honest. It was he was a good starter baby, and he cut the cord, you
Okay.
know. But my experience there was absolutely amazing. I I never felt hurried or rushed, and even when they were checking my dilation, they would always ask for consent,
Mhm.
and they were happy with my birth plan, and I felt very, very safe
Good.
in that place. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, great.
So that was with my first baby, and for my second baby, about a year and a half later, I got so confident with how it went the first time around. I was actually I feel like it was very euphoric for me, to be honest. That sense of achievement.
Yeah.
I got so confident that I contracted the same midwife, and she does home birth. And it worked out well because she said she would only do home births if the mother had a baby already. So second, third, fourth baby. And I shopped everything I wanted with regards to preparing our home for the birth.
This
I
obviously was in South Africa.
Yeah, also in South Africa. She actually came to visit here once for the rugby sevens. Yeah, we have a really good relationship. We're so close. I was telling my sister-in-law, we're so close now. I mean, a midwife has seen everything, so it's like you have this bond with her. Um,
So you were
so
living
I
in Dubai
bought.
at the time for the second one, and then you flew.
No. I was still in South Africa.
Oh, you were living there at the time then.
Yeah. So basically, I gave birth to my first child, and then we lived there for the next 2.5 years
Okay.
after that. Yeah. 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 For the home birth, she gave me a list of stuff she would need, plastic bags, they would give you a list of what you would need in the house,
Okay.
mattress protectors and all of that. And then I was free to do what I wanted. I had a playlist. I had essential oils. I bought, for every birth I would buy a new um, dressing gown.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to be naked. Nobody wants that. So I buy a short nightgown so I could feel, at least I could keep my decency.
Okay.
And yeah, for both of them, it wasn't totally unmedicated. That's the one thing that I wanted mothers out there to know. It's not black and white. It's like, it doesn't mean because you chose vaginal birth or natural birth, it doesn't mean that you will have to do without.
So
You kind.
what were the
Sorry?
options for you? What did you take, or what were the options for you?
Well, for the first birth, I took something for the pain. It was oral. It wasn't an epidural. I took something for the pain, and well, they didn't tell me what it was, but I think because I was so out of it already, I was so long into my labor, I was very, very tired. And then for the second one, my midwife, there for home births, they would always have two midwives attend to you.
Yep.
So
it was just one at the birth center, or did they have a second attendant of some sort there?
at the birthing center, they didn't mind if it was one main midwife, because they will have the nurses and the other support staff. I think for home birth, they want to, so for legal purposes, if something had to go wrong and then there's a witness, or so we're all protected basically.
Sure.
She put something away in the fridge when she came over for the home birth, and then I needed it. Not that I needed it. I opted it to use it because my contractions were getting slower and we were getting bored. Basically,
it was great. I could rest.
Yeah, it was funny because it was at night. No, it was late afternoon when I had some bleeding. She came over to check how far dilated I was. She made a call. She says, I have a 7-centimeter mommy. I can push it to 9. So can you come over? So that was her partner midwife.
Okay.
And then we were just sitting around having tea, doing what, like you would have friends over for tea.
Yep.
And then I was having my dinner, and I was like, ouch, ouch, ouch. Okay, no, I want to lie down now. So I ran into the room around 10 p.m. And they were there. We had the music going. We were lying on the bed. And she even told my husband, this is why I like home births. I can nap with my mommies, because there were 3 of us napping on the bed. All the 2 midwives and me, and I would wake up every now and then if there was a contraction. I think that's why my contractions slowed. It was too chilled.
Okay.
My husband, he was on hot compress duty.
Okay.
Basically, every time my hot compress would go cold, he had to go run and put it in the microwave for me. So that was his job, to warm my back. Okay. And then so at around 4 a.m. my contractions were getting further and further apart, and we were just bored by then, really. So I was like,
why is it awake all night as well, probably?
Yeah, and I was quite anticlimactic, I suppose. And I was like, why is it doing that? And my midwives looked at each other and they're like, yeah, it happens. And I'm like, So what? What are we waiting for? Are we supposed to wait longer, or like, well, you can if you want to. We can induce it. Or I think that's the right word she used. I'm not sure. And I said, yeah, we can do that. So they fetched whatever it was in the fridge, and I was still lying, sitting down on the bed, and she injected me on my leg.
Mhm.
And oh my goodness, literally 3 seconds after that, the tremor that rocked my body was out of this world. I was like, put me off the bed, pick me up, take me off the bed.
Okay.
It was it was ridiculous. I thought I didn't think for a second that there was something wrong. I just thought I didn't know it would work this intensely.
Okay.
You know. So my husband picked me up off the bed, and I was leaning on the bed, kneeling beside it, and kneeling.
Mhm.
And my contractions were on top of each other. And then my midwife was like, "Oh my goodness, she's coming out." Well, nobody knew what. No, I no, we knew what gender the baby was. It was for the first one that we didn't know. But
Okay.
she said she's coming out too fast. She's coming out too fast. Slow down. And I said, I don't know how. I don't know how to slow. She's like, you breathe like this. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll breathe like that.
Okay.
And then she was catching her from behind basically, and she says, here, hold your baby. And I said, no, you hold her, because I was tired.
Yeah.
And this part I don't remember. My husband told me that my midwife Gail, she says, here, hold, trying to pass the baby from underneath me.
Yep.
Because I think the umbilical cord was too short still for her to move it from behind.
Okay.
So I got the baby, and he again cut the cord, and it was done. That was pretty much it. They allowed me to shower right after. I came back in new clothes. She did say, we prepared the bed with mattress protectors, and then she goes and does it on the carpet. With second-time mothers, you really can't tell them what to do anymore.
Yeah.
They will not
Well, you
listen.
don't know what's going to be comfortable either. A lot of times upright positions is more comfortable for pushing.
Yeah. So that was that. I think she was born around 4 a.m., 4:20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right after your shot then.
Yeah, oh my goodness, that was ridiculous. I haven't tried out all the different medications out there for birth, but that was quite something.
Yeah.
That was really, yeah.
I wonder if, because sometimes there's a rest phase, and they call it transition, right before you start pushing, so that your body can recuperate a little bit before you start the effort of pushing. So I wonder if that's what was happening, and that's when you took it. And so anyway, it was coming.
Yeah.
So it just
I
made
wonder.
it more intense. I don't know.
Yeah, I was reading up stuff on that before, where there were scare stories of your uterus might rip or whatnot. But at that point, I was already so comfortable and so secure, and I trusted my caregivers that it didn't even cross my mind that anything wrong could happen. Yeah. So it was really nice.
Both of them sounded very nice.
Yeah.
Did you prepare differently for either, or like what was the preparation routine for each one?
No, I didn't prepare any different apart from the supplies I needed for the home birth. The first one I prepared mentally a lot. What I told myself was basically my mother was able to give birth to 5 babies vaginally.
Okay.
So there was no reason that I won't be able to do it. She had us at the hospital, but the reason why I really wanted a vaginal birth first and foremost was that I had an ovarian cyst when I was 21 or 20.
Okay.
I had it removed, and obviously I had an incision on my abdomen, and when I came out of surgery, I thought, if this is anything how a C-section would feel like, I will not be able to care for a baby, because I went straight to my mother's and she took care of me.
Yeah.
She showered, she was I was like, how I won't be able to care for my baby if I have this massive cut in on my body, right? So I was like, I'm not gonna that's not an option if I could avoid it. So I'm not gonna have that. So yeah, that was basically the birth story for both the kids. And
what did you do? Go ahead. Go ahead. I was gonna.
No, one of the delay. One of the midwife was actually she made a not funny joke, because we knew it was gonna be a girl, the second one, my daughter, and when the baby came out, she was like, "Oh my goodness, it's a boy," and that was so not funny. It's not funny.
Like, I'm dealing with a lot right now. I don't need this information. Not funny.
Yeah.
Okay. What was I thinking now?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. How you mentally prepared? You said you had mentally prepared, but what did you do to do that exactly?
I watched a lot of videos on YouTube, like I said earlier, so I knew exactly what's gonna happen down there. Very graphic videos. Because I read somewhere you have to envision it, so I was envisioning it.
I mean, they might mean like how you feel, what position.
Yeah, I was trying to envision everything when she was pushing the baby out, really. There was a particular one I thought she was so cool. She basically dropped a couple of towels on the floor. First, she approached this linen cupboard. Then she dropped some towels on the floor. And then she sat down and had her baby. And then she was drinking tea while carrying the baby. And I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't look too bad. Obviously, I didn't think I was gonna have tea and drop towels on the floor, but she made it seem like it was very doable. So I watched a lot and I read a lot, and then basically that's when I started researching if there was a birthing center. Now I know in Canada they have a lot of birthing centers, but I wasn't about to go find a visa and then get there and with no family, no support. And in the UK they do it as well. So my only option really was South Africa or Philippines. And Philippines that time didn't really have birthing centers. I don't know if they have now. I do know that they have maternity wards with bathtubs for a water birth. I didn't opt for water birth because I get lightheaded when I have baths, so I didn't want to get dizzy. But even at the birthing center that I chose in South Africa, there was a bathtub right beside the bed if you had wanted to. It was really, really lovely. It was like a bed and breakfast. So I did a lot of research, and then I would check at the off chance I would have had to go to a hospital. I checked their cesarean rates. Okay. And a lot of them were frighteningly high. In South Africa and in Philippines, a lot of the hospital settings had a really high cesarean rates, anything from 30%. So that gave me a chance of almost, I know I just said 30%, but that could be a 50-50 chance for 1 in every 3 women, basically, right? Yeah. And also I did in a hospital setting, I felt strangers can just walk in and out of your room while you're spread eagle, and I think home birth or a birthing center affords you one of the most important things. It affords you some dignity in this very special moment. I think giving birth, the last thing you want or need is random people being in your space. So I was very particular about those things, what I would want it to be. I wanted to be around people who I love and who loves me, and I wanted to bring a child into this world in that peaceful setting.
Yeah.
Not the chaos of a hospital, but yeah.
Okay. Were
So
there any things you were apprehensive about? Maybe more so for the first one, since you know what to expect for the second, but either way.
I was for both. I was apprehensive about not having family around me, my people, my
Okay.
family. It was a price to pay for wanting to be in a birthing center. Sorry, I wanted to mention at the birthing center, they had a surgical room, so if anything had to go wrong, it
Interesting.
was just
Okay.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it gave me for the first child. I felt it gave me a lot of reassurance. So
Okay.
they had a whole um surgical room or operating room fitted out with proper equipment and all of that.
Yeah.
It was the first. I think it was the first birthing center in South Africa. That place. So if anything had to go wrong, any intense medical intervention that was needed, it was all there. So yeah, that was my apprehension that my family wasn't there. And then also that I could find the right midwife. In the beginning, that's very important. That you could connect with and that you could feel confident in a way that she would honor your wishes, or if not, she would do the right thing at
Yeah,
that
you have that
moment.
trust there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very important with even now. I mean, in our group, well, sorry, in the Real Moms group, whenever someone would ask for a gynecologist, they would like someone with great bedside manners and who they feel was caring. So that's really, really important. So yeah, those are two things that I was apprehensive about.
Okay. And what do you feel helped you the most through both of them?
It helped that that I was willing to try and research. That I was, Google helped a lot. Basically,
It can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's
it
great.
can be,
Negative.
it can be a double-edged sword. But well, I think we have access to so much information now. Our mothers didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's within your judgment to use that for you or against you, so you don't have to go off tangent.
Yeah. How did you know
With
which resources to find, or what were you looking for specifically when you were searching? Because you could stumble upon stuff you don't want to see, I suppose, too.
yeah, I basically just on YouTube googled a lot of home births, and surprisingly there were a lot of mothers who felt they can broadcast it. I wouldn't, but I'm very, very thankful to them.
It is.
Yeah. And reading up on basically the natural way of doing things. It encompassed a lot of child rearing, like breastfeeding and giving birth, and basically a lot of natural way of doing things. And it was very, very interesting because I'm not the most there are people who are really good with kids, who has this rapport with them. I'm not one of those. I'm not. My sister, for example, she can have long conversations with my kids, and I don't know how she does it. And my sister-in-law, I'm not one of those, but I'm a good mom, I feel, to a newborn. When they start talking, I'm totally lost.
It changes, and then they're talking about things you may or may not be actually interested in. Like,
Yeah,
where other people
yeah,
might be more engaging. Yeah, I understand that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I've met moms who had so much trouble with pregnancy in the newborn phase, right? But when their kid starts talking, they're like best friends all of a sudden. So I'm the
True.
opposite, and I feel like we're hard on ourselves because there are different phases. You might be not such a great, for example, toddler mom, but you are an amazing newborn mom. And on the other side of it, you might not be so great that because you didn't know, you were too tired or whatever, but you might have been, maybe you're an amazing teenager mom. So we have to be careful that as women and mothers, we're so good at that, judging ourselves and freezing that point of time and thinking that makes your whole motherhood. It's not. You have different phases that you can maybe compensate.
Well,
I feel.
I think at every stage you're still like, you're the mother. You're always going to be the best for your child, even if it's not like as great as someone else or as effective or whatever the case. And I like the idea of, other stages might go easier for you and might go harder for you, whatever. But I still think at the end, you're still the mother, and
you're the mom. You're the mom. There's
you're
no
still
other
the best
option.
because you're the mother, or
the
main caregiver or whatever the case is, that the main guide.
Exactly. Exactly.
Guardian. Yeah. Interesting. What surprised you, back to the births now, what surprised you most about the whole experience? Including like pregnancy, postpartum, whatever it was.
What surprised me was pushing was not the most painful thing.
Okay. Did you find it enjoyable?
It was fine. It was some pressure, it was some stretching, but in movies, it's so weird. They depict it as when you're pushing, that's the loudest you scream. The contractions were painful. It's the back ache and the abdominal ache, and that felt like your body is being ripped apart sideways. But the pushing, you
say that so calmly, like, oh well.
The pushing was you're pushing. It's like you go to the bathroom, do number 2, and then you're pushing.
Okay.
And but I think it scares a lot of women because it's like, oh no, it's a person's gonna like basically pass through me. It's not the most painful thing. I wouldn't even call it pain. It was just pressure. And sorry, on my birthing plan, I put in caps lock, no episiotomy, no.
Okay.
Because that would have made it. Then if you had a cut, I think it could make it painful. I don't know. But
I think more so in the recovery. Because you may not notice even during the actual, when they cut, it's at the peak of a contraction, but then the recovery time it might be a while before you can sit down properly.
Yeah.
It just depends.
You want to sit down after that.
Yeah.
After all of that. Yeah.
So how did you feel afterwards, after you had both your children?
I felt very accomplished. Like, I did it. I felt very accomplished, and it really helped my confidence, especially with my firstborn. It gave me that much needed reassurance that my judgments were sound for me. And I think every mother needs whatever new mother confidence they could get their hands on, because we're going through uncharted territory of becoming a mother. So if you have that to hold on to, then you kind of, during days where you're unsure, I was unsure a lot of times. My eldest had reflux. He was quite colicky, and I was surviving on 3 hours sleep for the first 6 months.
Wow.
So that I was holding on to that I did okay. I'm doing okay. And without family around me, it was touch and go, because I could easily have slipped into postpartum depression.
Okay.
But if you had, if a mom had that or something that they can say, I've done it, I can do this, it helps so much. Yeah, so
Okay.
I felt very confident after that. I needed it. God knows I needed that. I felt confident. I felt affirmed, reaffirmed. Yeah, and it helped me basically look after my child after
Well,
that.
that's an amazing association. Yeah. That the birth makes such a big impact on then how
It does.
you mother and feel.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have other advice for women?
My advice for women is do your research, and that, like I said earlier, a natural birth, a home birth, a birthing center, vaginal birth, whatever type of birth, specifically vaginal birth, if you opt for that, know that it doesn't mean you will be denied medical interventions.
Mm-hmm.
You know that it will be available. Obviously, go to a reputable facility, but know that it doesn't mean you're choosing either or. It doesn't mean that. It's not set in stone. But if you go in there with a mindset of what you want, chances are your body will follow. If you've decided within yourself, this is, I would do everything to have this type of birth or to do that. And I'm not against medically induced births. Some women could be CEOs and they're like wanting to save the world, for example. Maybe it's good for them to, okay, this is, my calendar is free on this date, I'm gonna have this baby then. So I'm not against that. But I would like, if for every woman out there, to kind of make your decisions based, make good judgments basically, and with the information that's available to us now that wasn't available then before.
Mm-hmm.
So and own those decisions, because when you do own your decisions, whatever your decision is, it helps you cope at a later stage. Yeah. Oh, sorry, and shower every day, because it really,
Random one.
another, yeah, just try your very, very best. You will, if you're at home and that's all you do, it will give you the needed lift. Yeah.
Okay, so a bit of self-care, essentially. You're using
Self-care. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't care for another person if you feel neglected.
Okay.
Basically, you fill your cup, whatever it is, whether it's showering, I don't know, have that 5 minutes of tea, I don't know, but you fill your cup, make sure it's replenished.
Yeah, exactly.
For your child, really. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an important element of taking care of yourself so that you're able to take care of another. Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Neglect ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, please look after yourself. And if you don't have a village, like friends, family around you, you create one, you build one, like as soon as you can, because you will draw from that, you will draw from their strengths, and you won't feel so isolated.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So yeah, those were my learnings basically.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing. It was amazing to hear from you, and 2 amazing stories. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yasmin. Yeah, I'm really passionate about just having choices basically, instead of it being foisted on you by an institution.
Yeah.
So I'm passionate about that. Yeah.
And realizing there are choices.
I know, it's so frustrating. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I loved it. Thank you very much, Jamila.
Thank you.